things. It's stimulating things you want to own. It's stimulating things you want to follow up with. Also use your chat box. Feel free to use your chat box for many reasons. One, if you hear something you love, it resonated with you, you look at it as a potential nugget, you think it's something that everyone should maybe remember, use your chat box. If you have questions and you feel like, I don't want to forget that question, yet you don't want to interrupt the presentation, ask away, put that question in there. And depending on when we get done, I will go back and I will try to answer as many questions as possible. And this is the great news here. I've been driving the behavioral profile training right now for the past, let's say, 2.5 weeks. And in the past 2.5 weeks, I have impacted probably, I would say, around 750 people between different industries, including real estate, including insurance, investment, solar, roofing, hospitality, different team members. Behavioral profiling affects us as humans, regardless of what industry we're in, whether we're in roles of sales or roles of leadership. So I've been doing a lot of group trainings, and in between, back to back on the hour, doing one-on-one trainings. So make sure that if we have not had a chance to have a one-on-one, that we do so. And I'm having these one-on-ones and I'm giving my time complimentary, regardless of where our relationship goes, because I truly, truly care and respect professionals that are serious about being the best that they could be, optimizing their opportunities, especially this year. We're starting this year strong, and really giving back to their community in sales and service roles and leadership roles. So if I can give you 15 to 30 minutes of my time, knowing it's going to make an impact in your life, then I believe I've done my job as a person, as a friend, as a mentor, as a coach, etc. So make sure you take advantage of everything that I'm going and all the opportunities that I'm going to give to you and provide to you today. We're going to continue these trainings as well. So if you see that you have networking partners, team members, other industry professionals, friends, business professionals that's going to benefit from this training that they missed today, you'll have my cell number. Just let me know who those people are. And when we drop another similar training, either this month or next month, we'll make sure that we include them as our guest to come onto these trainings. Just so you know, I offer trainings on sales and leadership best practices on a quarterly basis. And this year with my team, we're looking at even doing that on a monthly basis. And we're alternating between different sales and leadership concepts. So you want to take advantage of those. Why not? Let's get started. It's 11:06. Let me make sure that we have everyone admitted into the room. People are still coming on. Ivona, can you hear me? And are you able to allow other people to come in the room so I can get started with no interruption? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. Behavior profiling to increase productivity. Behavior profiling, call it DISC, D-I-S-C. We're going to get into this. Call it emotional intelligence. And a lot of people turn around and say, oh, I've heard of DISC before, or I know what my DISC is. I'm a D, I'm an I, I'm an S, and a C. That really doesn't mean anything. Knowing what your DISC is doesn't mean anything if you're not aware of what your strengths are because of your profile. And at the same token, what are your limitations? What are your current weaknesses? What is getting in your way? What do you got to do to get out of your way? You know, a lot of people are busy pointing fingers as to this is the person who's holding me back, or this is the person, I don't have a great team leader, or the people in my team are, I don't feel aligned with, or that client was, you know, really took me out of my vibe, or I didn't really connect with that person. They're busy pointing fingers as to why other people, something's wrong with other people. In my opinion, let's forget about other people right now. The first phase of this training is to become the best version of yourself. The first phase of this training is, who are you? And what do you need to do to get out of your own way? And are you honing in on your strengths? Are you reflecting every day to say, how did that conversation go? How did that meeting go? How was my approach with this person? Could I have shown up better? Could I have been more effective? If I was to do it again, how would I do it this time? So if you concentrate on becoming better yourself, trust me, through that process, you will create more meaningful, in-depth relationships. And with your approach and your communication, you can actually drive the conversation to become more productive with the other person, even your spouse, your significant other, your children. I'm going to be 50 years old next year. I've been married for 27 years to the same man. I have 3 grown children. Youngest is almost 17, oldest is 24. Recruited thousands of people, have had over 1,100 people reporting to me in my downline in my team. You're talking about a lot of different personalities, a lot of different cultures, backgrounds, upbringing. And I think one of the secrets to success was about 12 years ago when I needed this wake-up call and I learned about behavior profiling, and it was hard. Nobody wants to hear criticism. Nobody wants to hear, hey, this is how you're showing up the wrong way. But I needed to hear some of those things in order to get out of my way so that I can minimize my setbacks. I could eliminate additional drama that I don't need in my personal and professional life. And I can create greater connections with what I'm bringing to the table. So within the next hour, I'm going to show you how to achieve a clear understanding and mindset for yourself and others, how to plan out your approach and becoming intentional. I think intentionality is the key to everything in business. Every move that you make, are you being intentional about it? Are you being strategic about it? Did you think about it? Are you aware of possible objections and rebuttals that might take place, and are you prepared for it? Are you using customized language, but at the same time, remaining your authentic self? Team, I'm not asking you to become somebody you're not. I'm just asking you to use emotional control. Emotional control. And at the same token, become more logical versus emotional with your approach. Deliver strategic follow-ups. When you're selling and you're leading, do that with intention. And ultimately, what does that boil down to? Creating systems. He or she who's successful in business has solid systems that they've placed, systems that are separating themselves from their competitors. What do I mean by that? If I'm prospecting, what is the system behind my prospecting? If I'm presenting, what is the system behind it? If I'm recruiting, What is the system? What do I do first, second, third, fourth in that whole process? So running a business is not a joke. And I'm talking about running a business where you're bringing home hopefully around $300,000 or more. $100,000 a year is nothing in today's day and age, after all the cost of living and taxes and etc. So I'm saying minimum 200,000, if not more. And if you're doing that, what kind of systems does it take? So improving communication, that's our number one goal here on this call. Even if it's with your parents and your siblings, conflict resolution, and being productive. So we're going to learn about you, learn about yourself today. We're going to improve your leadership approach. Even if you're not in a leadership role, you are getting up every day and you're leading yourself. You're deciding how you want to manage your time today, how you want to be productive. Hopefully you're blocking time. And by the end of the day, you'll have these check marks of things that you said you were going to do, that you accomplished, and hopefully even beyond, because it's what you do every day that measures the outcome of your week, that measures the outcome of your month, and ultimately measures the outcome of how your quarter went. And guess what, everybody? We are now in quarter one. And it's so important. A lot of people might say, you know what? I just basically, put my head out of the water. I really worked hard this last quarter. Maybe I want to relax in January. I still have another 11 months to go. To me, these are kind of reactive kind of thought process. Proactive thought process says, the way I'm going to show up this quarter is setting the pace for what's going to happen with the remaining 3 quarters of my year. And I need this momentum in order to create meaningful connections, get the right network I need behind me, make sure I'm honing in on my clients that deserve the best version of me, and create new relationship with the prospects that I met in the past or ones that I have yet to meet. And all that is related to behavior profiling, your communication, and your approach. So how do we enhance personal reflection, accountability? How are you going to manage your communication with your team if you're a team leader, and your growth? How are you increasing teamwork with collaborative efforts? And how are you going to customize individual language with your clients? When we're understanding DISC, which is a behavioral profiling tool, I don't want you to concentrate on money. Money is going to come and go. I don't want you to worry about bottom line, how many clients am I going to close and how much I'm going to make. I hope that you expect to make great money. I hope you expect to bring in X amount of clients. What I really urge that you concentrate on is 3 things. Every single day, how can I be the most impactful? How can I be the most influential? And how am I going to be the most productive? And if you can concentrate on those 3 factors every single day with proper reflection, with strategic communication and approach based on what you're going to learn here, I guarantee you that you will be the most successful you've been this year than last year and going forward. As a business development coach, as the founder of INFUSE system, right now we have been voted top coach for the past 3 years in a row. Organically, we sit at the #1 business development coach on Google. I think first company, first page. And this has to do with everything I'm about to share with you. So DISC. DISC stands for D for dominance, I for influence, S for steady, and C for conscientious. And this is understanding effective communication. Why? Because everyone communicates. but not everyone connects. And right now, out of every 10 clients you see per week, typical closing ratio is anywhere from 10 to 30%. So out of 10 meetings, you close 1 to 3 sales. When people coach with me, when people coach with INFUSE system, the goal is to get you to 50 to 80%. So out of 10 meetings, let me have 5 of those people communicate to work with me either now or within the next month or two. 50% or more. This now means you are working smarter versus harder, and you've become more intentional with your systems and your approach. Let's talk about the 2 rules in life. The first rule is called the golden rule. This golden rule right here is the way we were raised. Hey, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the way to win. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I want to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. The number 1 way to fail in business is to treat people the way you want to be treated, which is why most leaders struggle, especially at the beginning part of their career, because they expect people to treat them the way they want to be treated. The number 1 way to win in business is the platinum rule. And the platinum rule says, treat people the way they want to be treated. Who are you dealing with? Can you detect in 15 minutes what their disc is? Because I'm going to ask you guys to detect what I am, and I'm going to tell you to put it on the chat box. And don't cheat if you're my client, because you already know what I am. But if you're not my client and you've never really worked with me before, by the time we're done, I'm curious to see how well I trained you today. And do you know what my disc is? Right? And if you knew my disc and you were selling to me or trying to recruit me or try to get me to hire you, then you would know how to show up with me, how to become a chameleon in order to create a better connection, in order to have my attention as we are working together in the process. So people generally make that mistake of assuming that others should be interacting the same way that they're interacting. So just a second about my background: immigrant mentality. I'm Persian, I'm Middle Eastern. I speak Farsi fluently. Everybody thinks I look Latina, so I learned how to speak Spanish fluently. Love the culture. Talked about being married for 27 years and having 3 grown kids. I've been in sales and leadership roles for 27 years. I've been actually longer than that. I started working since I was 15. I was raised by a single mother. I've never stopped working since then. And I love sales. I love learning a product that I know is going to help you, put you in a better place than where I found you, truly believing that I'm the best at what that business brings, and then doing whatever I can to bring that value into your world. Love sales. Also love leadership. If I became great at something, why not help you become great at it faster than me? I've made all the mistakes. I don't want you to make them. And I want to minimize your setback and maximize your growth. And you got a problem, I got a solution. So that's sales and leadership right there. I've been in the corporate world. Started at 21 when I got my bachelor's in business marketing, and I was making $30,000 a year. And then later on, got my master's in education. I was a private and public school teacher just for a very short period of time, and then went into leadership roles in the corporate world. Since 2005, 100% commissioned business. And within 12 years, at age 37, I was taking home $1 million a year. And I built that business from scratch. And then I reinvented myself again in 2018 when I built INFUSE system as a business development coach, became a certified international DISC coach because I wanted to learn how to get out of my own way, and co-author of the book Pure Wealth, currently working on my second book that should be released in hopefully 2 months. And I'll let you guys know all about that book and make sure that you have a copy. Made history in corporate America, first female regional director in a publicly traded company. This was insurance and investment. I spent 17 years in the insurance and investment business, retirement planning. And, you know, to me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It doesn't matter what race or nationality you're in. You're in the United States. And if you want to, you can be whatever you want to be. You might have to work harder than others to get there, but so be it. But if you believe that you deserve it, all you got to do is put the right systems in place and have the right mindset and make it happen. So first thing I want to say is take a look at your chat box. Ivona, can you please drop in the link where people can take their own DISC assessment if they've never taken a DISC assessment, or they took one 5 years ago or before that? Because when you take a DISC assessment, there's 2 graphs that you need to be aware of. One graph is what are you naturally? This is how your siblings know you, your parents know you, your spouse knows you, your best friend knows you. That's never going to change. Who you are naturally is not going to change. What's going to change over time is the other graph, which is how you are adapting. And the way you're adapting shows how you're maturing as a salesperson, as a leader. It also shows what industry you're in. Are you adapting the right way or the wrong way within the industry that you're in? And the environment that you're in, is it a healthy environment or not? And why are you showing up a certain way? So when I look at your DISC report, first thing I like to do is look at those 2 graphs, and according to your industry, according to the role that you're playing in, I can immediately see whether you're adapting the right or the wrong way, and whether that's helping you or hurting you in relation to the goals that you have. So when you take your DISC assessment, you will receive a 40-page report. There's many DISC assessments out there. As you guys know, Tony Robbins gives, you know, a teaser 1-page away to people that go to his site. That's not what I'm talking about. This is the most comprehensive report on the market, and I'm not going to spend too much time, but these are the 9 different things that that report will give you, and everything is customized based on you. What do you need to do to improve? What do you do when you're in conflict? What do you need to watch out for? What are ways that you can have reference sheets and cheat sheets to connect with people that are not like you, etc. So as the founder of INFUSE System, the goal here is to provide you with tools, skills, confidence, support that is not recommended, but required in order for you to win in business. If we're not connected on social media yet, it would be my pleasure to have you in my world. We're constantly dropping best practices 3 days a week on sales and leadership. Take advantage of those. You will find my social media handle on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is under INFUSE System. For LinkedIn, it will be under Maryam Habashi, but everything else is under INFUSE System. You're welcome to use your phone, your camera to scan and to connect with me instantly right now, or write down INFUSE System and connect with me after our training. Let's talk about DISC: dominance, influence, steady, and conscientious. What I want you to know about these is that with dominance, and let me go ahead and make this small here. With dominance, these are the people, actually, here we go. With this personality trait, they come across very confident, they come across very bold, they're very results oriented, They're your fast-paced talkers. They're all about accomplishing the bottom line. And these are people that necessarily aren't interested in forming a long-term relationship with you and inviting you to barbecues at their house. These people might end up doing that with you, but when they first meet you in sales and in leadership, they're looking for, what's the bottom line? What do we need to do in order for you to help me meet my goal? When we talk about influence, these people are people-oriented versus task-oriented. They are charming, they're magnetic, they are interested in building relationships, in networking, and they're also your fast-paced talkers as well. But with influence, with people that lead with their I, again, you will see that they are more people-oriented versus the people that lead with the D. They are more task-oriented, and they might come across a little bit too direct or sometimes even a little bit too harsh. Okay, so once again, team, from today on, we no longer want to attack the character. We want to understand the behavior. If we understand the behavior, we don't take things personally anymore. We say, this is why they act the way they do. This is why they, are reacting the way they're reacting or saying what they're saying. And I'm not going to take it personal. I'm just going to see how I can connect with them better in order to help them accomplish their goal. When we're looking at steady and conscientious, these two are your slow-paced talkers. So your D and your I are your fast-paced talkers. Your S's and your C are your slow-paced talkers. S is relationship oriented. They're people-oriented, just like that I, but they're slower-paced talker. And these people enjoy collaborating. They're very team-oriented. They care what everybody else thinks before they make a decision. And your S's are going to be your slow-paced talker, but they're the ones that are monotone. They don't have that much body language. They don't use that much body language. And you don't know if they're happy, if they're sad, if there was an earthquake. No matter what, they speak like this. My stepfather is a high C. That's how you can tell the high C from the S, because the S is going to fluctuate their tone, though they're slow-paced talkers. Your S's are like your therapist. They're very good listeners as well, and they're relaxed. Your C's are going to come across a little bit colder. They're not showing that much emotion. They're not showing body language. And your C's are going to be all about being high quality work and competent and accurate and fact finding and data entry. So a compliance officer, maybe someone who's data entry, your tax accountant, those are going to be your natural C's. Your therapist, your coaches, those are going to be your natural S's. Your I's, these are very good people in sales, in leadership role. How can you be great in sales and leadership and not have a higher I, not be influential? So either you're naturally a higher I, which means you're closer to the sales role that you decided you wanted to be in, or we might discover that your I is lower, and you doesn't mean you can't be a great salesperson. It just means you need to adapt and you need to push out of your comfort zone in order to make that happen. At the end, you can be whatever you want to be in life. The question, are you naturally leaning more towards it, or do you need to work harder to adapt to become towards that? Now, keep in mind your S's and your C's, they don't like to be interrupted. So when they are speaking, you have to hold yourself and let them finish before you put in your 2 cents. Your D and your I, they don't mind being interrupted. When they're speaking and you interrupt and you jump in, they look at it as you're participating, you care, you're into what they're saying. But your S's and your C's don't look at it that way. And especially your C's who don't have too much body language. So if you're someone like me who uses their hand a lot, like an Italian, and you're like this and you're high energy, you're going to turn off a C if you show up that way when you're interacting with them. So if I happen to be, I'm not going to give away what I am because you're going to tell me, but if I happen to be a certain disc, I need to be mindful of who I'm talking to and quickly either speed it up or tone it down, and then know whether I'm going to continue to use my body language or not, or use minimum body language, whether I'm going to interrupt as we're speaking or whether I'm going to be quiet until that person finishes speaking. Also, am I going to give them something tangible or not? I want to talk to you guys because a lot of you on this call, I see we have many different industries. I coach over 20 different industries, but I do see we have a lot of realtors on this call. Here's what I want to say. Unless you've coached with INFUSE system, realtors haven't, and other real estate coaches are not teaching you this, because most real estate coaches, they never were for the field by the field. They just learned how to teach. It didn't mean that they do. They weren't real, like Tom Ferry, have a lot of respect for him, but he's not a realtor and he wasn't out there in the field selling real estate. This is all what he learned and what he coaches. So when we talk about sales, unfortunately, most salespeople out there speak first. He or she who speaks first loses. It is very important that you create what I call an intake form or a fact finder. It's a one-page sheet. Specific open-ended questions need to be on that sheet, and you have to put on your consultant hat, meaning the first thing you need to do is ask some open-ended questions so that in 10 to 15 minutes, you have a good feel of who's sitting in front of you. So that in 10 to 15 minutes, you say, am I talking to a D, I, S, or a C? What is their primary? What is their secondary? You don't need to know what degrees and points there are. We don't have time for that. But you got to get a good feel of who you're talking to with these strategic open-ended questions before you go into the second phase, which is now you selling, now you influencing, now you teaching, now you presenting, now you showing. And a lot of people in sales first begin to do that too prematurely. And when you first do that prematurely, you don't have a case. You can't use certain closing techniques, which is understanding, okay, how does this person want to be communicated with, wants to be sold, wants to be followed up with, etc. So you might come across too pushy, maybe you didn't mean to, or you might come across too passive and you didn't mean to. And we're going to talk about this in a second as well. It'll make more sense to you. When we talk about the DISC, the I is direct and a fast-paced talker. The D is direct and a fast-paced talker. And the S is indirect and a slower-paced talker. And the C is indirect and monotone, as I said earlier. Now, the D characteristics. This person comes across forceful. They're persistent. You got a problem, I got a solution. Very problem solver. They're very competitive. I don't care if it's a lollipop, we're going to win it. The I is coming across trusting, friendly, sociable, optimistic, influential. Let me pause right here. Every disc is a rose, meaning there is not one disc that's better than the other. Every disc is a rose, but every rose has a thorn. And it's important that you know your thorns and you know the thorns of the people that you're talking to. For example, a high D has all these beautiful things that I just mentioned, but a high D is not a great listener, could be impulsive, could come across controlling, could come across argumentative, could come across abrasive, could come across intimidating. So a high D, especially if they're in sales or leadership, needs to know that about themselves so that they can adapt and control that piece in order to show up differently in front of their client or in front of their team member. An I, as influential and charming as they are, they suffer from procrastination. A high I struggles with procrastination because there's so many different things they want to do, and they're talented enough where they can handle a lot of things at one time, but they're known as ticket openers. So they open up a lot of tickets, they open up a lot of responsibility, but they don't finish it. They don't finish it all the way to the end, or they don't become the best that they can in one area because they sometimes struggle with the shiny object syndrome and are running to the next task that's at hand. So the I needs to know that so that they don't add on more projects than they can handle. So they create proper goal setting, time blocking, and they finish what they start before they jump onto something else. The D fears losing. I need you to know the fears of each of these. The D fears losing. Everything is about winning. So when you are selling to a D, when you are recruiting to a D, put them in a winning position. Use those words. With this, we're going to win. We are going to get this house. We are going to get these policies hopefully approved. With what I'm proposing, you are not going to lose. These are key words that's speaking their language, and they're looking for fast-paced. So if you come across slow tone, you want to take it a step at a time, you want to make sure there is no sudden changes because you happen to be an S, you're not going to connect with that D if you don't adapt and speak their language. You'll be too slow for them. Nice guy, nice lady, but probably not the right person I want to hire. And if you are an I, I's fear rejection. It's important that they're accepted by everyone. It's important that they're liked by everyone. And if you're in sales and you're in leadership, you cannot assume that everyone's going to like you. And it's okay if they don't, as long as you were fair, as long as you were kind. So what happens with an I leader is that everyone might love you, but was everybody challenged under your leadership? You might have a lot of people that love you, but maybe most of them are going broke because you care about not being rejected. It's hard for you to hold your people accountable. So creating accountability in your environment is very important if you're going to get people to start making the money they deserve to make. Or putting your foot down at times when you're in a sales role and people are not being realistic about what they want to accomplish, and doing it in a loving, respectful manner. Let's talk about S's. S's are your slow-paced talkers, and they're great listeners, They're calm, team players, relaxed, consistent, patient, steady. Love it, right? But the thorn with the S is that they fear sudden change. So sometimes by the time they come to make a decision, they already missed that opportunity. So if you're a high S, be careful about that. Be careful about not having analysis paralysis, where you're analyzing something so long that you miss the opportunity. Or that you're fearing that next change that you know needs to take place in your life. So when you're a higher S, sometimes you are loyal to a fault. And being not loyal is just as bad as not being too loyal. So be careful about that as an S. And also, don't be so worried about what everybody else thinks before you make a decision. Consider what everybody else thinks, but ultimately do what's best for you and the team and the environment, because you can't dance to everyone's fiddle. Next would be the C. And the C is the one who's also very monotone. Slow-paced talker, but no emotion, monotone. These people fear being wrong. So when you are selling to an S, you want to turn around and say strategically, I want to make sure we're not making any sudden changes. Here's step 1. Here's step 2. Here's how long it will take us to accomplish this task, because you know they fear sudden change. When you're selling to the C, because you know they fear being wrong, let them know you are not making the wrong decision. These are the reasons that this decision is right. With the C, you want to use the 3 Ps: product, price, and performance. And I want to tell you something. Your Ds and your Is, they're impatient. They're not going to read everything. So you have to give them something to either look at or read, but highlight things that are the meat and the potatoes. They call that ice cube selling. Don't get too details, or else you'll lose them. The more information you give them, the more you've created confusion and maybe I need to think about it. So don't get detailed unless they ask for it. With your S's and your C's, these are the people that are going to dot the I, cross the T, and they need to read things. Your S's and your C's, even if they love you, they're not going to hire you on the first spot. They need time to think about it. So know that about them, and on purpose say, I like to give you X amount of days to think about it, and then let's hop on a call or a meeting at this time, at this date, before you hang up the phone. But give them a few days, because they fear being wrong, or they fear sudden change, and therefore they need some time to make that decision. So if you don't have a PowerPoint presentation when you're recruiting, Houston, we got a problem. If you don't have a PowerPoint presentation when you're presenting, even as a realtor or an insurance professional, we got a problem. It doesn't matter how articulate you are, what a great communicator you are. In sales, some people are visual. Some people need to see things in order to know, hey, you know what? He means that, she means that, because it's written. Because too many people have been burnt, and too many people have overpromised and underdelivered. So what does your offering presentation look like? And in INFUSE system, you learn how to create the right presentation. You pitch it to me. I make sure we fill in anything that you missed. And this increases your closing ratio and your communication and connection ratio up to 80% when you're doing what you're doing. So we're going to recap with the D style. When you want to work with someone who's D and now you know who they are, support their goals and objectives, be prepared and fast-paced. You need to be prepared and fast-paced. Keep your relationship business-like. What do I mean? Are you a hugger? Are you a hugger? Do not hug the D or the C. These are your task-oriented ones when you first meet, because that comes across like a like a smooth kind of salesperson. So when you detect with your open-ended questioning who you're sitting in front of, always first go in with a handshake, because you don't know who you're dealing with. Go in with a handshake first. At the end of this meeting, if they're a S and an I, those are your people-oriented, bring in the hug, give them a hug. And if you determine they're the D or the C, end it with a handshake. And make sure you use some of the other tactics that I shared with you. With the D, recognize their ideas and their accomplishment. The D wants to win. You must use a two-choice close. If you're selling to a D, you cannot say, this is the one option, here's the one way I'm asking you to consider. It won't work. Best thing to do is say, here's option A, here's option B, here's what I recommend. Ultimately, what do you want to do, Stephanie? Because they need to be in control and they want to feel like they made the decision. So if you want to sell to a D, whatever idea it is, give them a two-choice close. Let them know what you recommend, but ultimately let them make that decision. When you want to connect with a D, stay bottom line and solution-based, provide options, as I said. They're going to hold you accountable to everything that you said and you showed. So make sure you're prepared. And they make decisions pretty fast. So be ready to be fast-paced. When you're selling to that I who fears rejection, they can make spontaneous decisions and they could get excited real quick. It's important that they see the benefits that you're pointing out. They often buy way before they're sold, but they can have regrets after. This is why you want to make sure that you had proper questioning at the beginning, like an intake form, or you had a presentation when you were presenting, because they could be impulsive. And what you don't want is for them to change their mind the next day. So the way you showed up will determine that fact. They don't care too much about details. They want it to be pretty simple and ice cube. And they need follow-ups or documents to remind them of what was said or the agreements that were made, because they're not the best listeners, because they're all over the place. So you want to create that accountability after. To connect with an I, let them set the pace for the meeting. Show more animation and enthusiasm. So if you happen to be monotone or relaxed, kick it up. That's why I love to see how you adapt in your role and your industry. So I can let you know whether you're adapting the right or the wrong way and what you could do to improve. Explore their dreams and their motivations. Complement their ideas. And use testimonials and incentives for effective decision-making. So in that offering PowerPoint, do you show testimonial videos? Do you show do you share testimonial stories? Because it's important for an I to also know what others thought about your services as well, to further cement the decision that they're going to make. And make sure you summarize and recap everything, because they probably weren't listening to everything that you were saying. Let's talk about the S style, who fears sudden change. It's important for them to make a decision based on relationships and trust. So if I am not a very empathetic person, I need to change that if I want to create trust and a relationship with the S's. And they like to make decisions collaboratively. They want to know what their best friend thinks. They want to know what their spouse thinks. They want to know what their teammates think. So if you're dealing with an S, be sure that you involve other key people that help make decisions with this person, even like their adult child. They get turned off by people that come across aggressive and pushy. So someone like me that could come across aggressive or pushy, I know that. And therefore, there's a way I adapt when I'm talking to my S's or my C's. So they're looking for loyalty, they're looking for trust, and they're very relationship-based. And they're the ones who fear making a sudden change. So you need to be a part of that decision-making process. You need to be able to say, here's what I recommend we do first, second, third, fourth, and I'm going to help you along the way. They want you to hold their hand and walk you through the process. So connecting with them is focusing on that trust building factor, exploring their relationship needs, providing them with direction and guidance, versus that D who most likely wants to provide you with direction and guidance. They like to move in a slower pace, and they're looking for that personal attention. When we talk about the C style, and that's the one who's slow-paced and monotone and fears being wrong, they're looking for data, graphs, time charts. So in what you sell in your offering PowerPoint, do you have that? Now, hear me out, team. I'm not asking you to create 4 different PowerPoints for each disc. You're going to have one offering PowerPoint. But is it disc friendly? Is it in this 20-minute PowerPoint presentation? Is it talking to the D, I, S, and C, regardless of who was sitting in front of you? Does it have a little bit of this and that based on what I just shared with you? Even as a leader in an organization, when you are going to train, when you're going to talk about a certain meeting, do you have a PowerPoint, and is it disc friendly based on some of these things in order to touch individuals that are listening to your presentation at any moment? One is more get to the point, one is more take it easy and slower, one is more people oriented, one is more task oriented, etc. So these people, and we're talking about the C, they could get lost in unimportant details. So it's important that you refocus them, and it's important that you're talking about the 3 Ps, which is product, price, and performance. And you are backing it up with factual data. And if you show too much enthusiasm and body language, that creates skepticism for them. So avoid too much. So if you're a talker, you'll lose it if you're a talker with a C. So you gotta not talk as much. Explore their knowledge and their objective. Provide logical, factual data with documentation. They're not into the fuzzy emotional piece. What are the pros and cons? And give them time to think. And they are looking for that written guarantee, that written document, that written proof. So if you're a realtor, do you have an agreement for buying and selling? Or do you only have an agreement for one of those? Because if you're dealing with your C's and your S's, they would prefer to have an agreement for both of those things. So all of you on this call, you're on this call because you want to be better. You want to improve. You want to take it to the next level. So here's what would be next. First thing would be to register to take your DISC assessment. It's important that you have your own assessment in your own hands, that 40-page report. Without knowing who you are, it's very hard for you to get out of your own way if you only want to learn what other people are. So it starts with you first, and then it leaks to other people. So use the link on the chat box. Ivona, if you could put that link on the chat box again. Majid, if you don't see the link, tell me, because I'm not looking at the chat box. I want to make sure that you have the link to copy in order to take your DISC assessment, which will immediately give you a 40-page report. Once you have that report, schedule your complimentary one-on-one call with me, and I will take 15 to 30 minutes to go over your report and tell you things you need to watch out for and be aware of that maybe you weren't aware of. And it's a confidential space where you can talk to me about what's happening personally and professionally. And you could even tell me about cases you lost, and we can talk about why and what could have happened next time, so we learn from it. And we could even talk about cases you won, and I can show you why that connection was strong based on what I saw on your report. And then the next opportunity would be to ignite your best month. And igniting your best month is a 4-week coaching program. And in that 4 weeks, we will do targeted coaching. You will talk about what specific things you feel you need to improve on. Is it recruiting? Is it team building? Is it prospecting? Is it presenting? Is it closing? Is it social media marketing? Is it marketing and branding? Is it goal setting? So we will talk about specific things that you need help in, and we will put together a 4-week program. Am I going to make you incredible in 4 weeks, meaning A through Z of sales or A through Z of leadership? I would be lying to you if I said yes. It's 1 month, but it will take you to at least a 30 to 50% improvement based on where you are. Because my regular program is a 6-month program. And that is something we could talk about if it makes sense. But if you need something right now, and maybe you're limited in your investments and your budget, I would recommend that you ignite your best month. Next thing I want to talk about is the importance of having a business development coach, whether it's me or someone else in your world. Please don't put all your eggs in one basket, meaning only learning from your team leader or only learning from yourself. You should have at least 3 to 5 mentors in your life. Even someone like me has a coach. So who is more successful than me, has made more than me, has more clients than me, and who loves me enough to tell me what I got to do to get out of my own way. So someone who is going to hold you accountable, push you out of your comfort zone, has the time to give you your individual mentorship. Not someone who's so busy running an operation that they don't have one-on-one time for you. This is why you need 3 to 5 mentors in your life. Someone who helps you get additional clarity and purpose, not someone who tells you why only you need to do something. Why is not enough. Knowledge is not power. Plenty of people are knowledgeable and lost and broke. Someone who says, this is why, this is how, this is what, this is when, and this is who, takes you from all the way to the top to the bottom, which is the fine-tuning that you need to do in order to execute. Someone who's going to correct behaviors that are holding you back, and someone who can help increase your networking connections. For the 40 people that are on this call today or more, all of you will get an invitation to come to my house on January 18th. Mark your calendar. If you are local, because I coach people throughout the US, if you are local, we have over 100 people coming to my house on January 18th. I got DJ, 360 camera, food, drinks, and it is going to be a massive networking event with people that are in and out of your industry. I'm a connector. If I can help you meet someone who's going to take your business to the next level, that's what I want to do. And no, you don't need to pay a penny. It's for free. So just get dressed up and come ready to network, not net drink, net sit, but network. And next thing I want to tell you is about managing relationships. People do business with people they connect with. People do business with people that they like. People do business with people that they trust. And today, you learned best practices on how to develop that trust while still being authentic, but now becoming intentional and strategic than ever before. But I cannot stress the importance of knowing about yourself first so that you can learn about others. If you're still on the call, can you quickly say, if you haven't, I want to read it right now. What do you think my disc is? What do you think my disc is based on the body language, the tone, everything? Okay, Amber, Rana, I love it. Dennis, Bob, love it. I am out of 0 to 100, out of 0 to 100, I am a 90-point D and an 89-point I. So I am as extreme as they come. And I'm going to show you something real quick before you get off and the phone, because this is, that's my family there. This is what your report will show you. The report that I'm talking about, page 13, I will show you, this is me. I will show you your natural versus your adapted. As you can see, I'm a very extreme person. So there is greatness, but there's also great thorns. And look at the way I adapt in order to connect with my audience. And I didn't do that for you today. Today, I was closer to what I am because I'm teaching you this. But if we were going to talk one-on-one on our call, and I find out what your disc is, you will see me adapt in order to create a safer space for you when we're talking one-on-one. And as you can see, I leave that I high to be as influential as possible, but I push that D down so it doesn't come across too aggressive, too assertive, too pushy, etc., in order to help you achieve your goals. Now, you might say, Maryam, how about the S and the C? Well, hey, I'm almost 50. I've tried my best to push that S up. It's not happening. So guess what? That means when I bring members in my internal team, they need to have the disc components that I lack. So that these are 4 pieces of the puzzle that come together in order to create a thriving business. The goal isn't to attract people that are identical like me, because we'll have blind spots. The goal is to fulfill that with areas that I lack in order to become an explosive team. Going back, and we're going to end our meeting in less than 5 minutes. Going back to the presentation. Please make sure you have my cell number. If you don't, we still have 40 people on the call. Please make sure you write down my cell, keep it. You're welcome to text me at any time. I live in San Diego. I just lived in Vegas for 11 years, so I've kept that number because of my former career. But keep it, text me, so we make sure you have the links that you need to either take your assessment, or if you've taken your assessment, that you book your one-on-one call with me if you have not done so yet. And it will mean the world to me if you could give me your feedback. Your feedback means everything. You just gave me an hour and 6 minutes of your time. And you could have done so many different things with that hour, but you chose to spend it with me, and I'm grateful. And I want to know what I can do to bring more value with other people that get on this trainings, whether we're talking about this topic or other topic. Take a second, scan me with your camera. This is confidential. You get to leave me your feedback. Your feedback means everything. And I look forward to talking to you. Let me look in your chat box real quick. Do we have, you're welcome, Jessica. Do we have any pressing questions? You're welcome to unmute. Does anyone have a question that they want to ask me? Any question that they think needs to be answered with everybody right now? Anyone have any pressing questions?
I just want to say great job, Maryam. That was an amazing presentation.
Mike, that's your voice?
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Paul, are you still on the call? Paul Mooring?
Yes, I am. I just had to reach the mute button.
Any questions? I know do you have a particular question or comment?
I don't. I thought this was really good, and I've done some disc stuff, as you might have noticed in my responses, but I was just going to ask if one of your kids was going to be out of town that day for the party. I might have to stay over coming from Phoenix.
You're so funny. Well, text me. We'll see what you can do. We do have people coming from Phoenix, from Texas, from Las Vegas. So we'll see what we could do.
Yeah, this was excellent. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you. Lynn, any questions? I think Lynn's trying to unmute. Julian?
No, that was awesome. As always, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Learned a lot.
Thank you so much, Said. Great to see you on the call as well. And Pega, good to see you again. Everyone have a beautiful week. Let's get out of our own way. Let's make this happen. Let's get strategic. I promise you it's going to be a game changer. And it's not something you're going to learn overnight. You need to be conscious about it. You need to practice it. And you got this. And I cannot wait for you to do your assessment and for us to have a one-on-one. Make sure you get everything done by this week. Have a sense of urgency while it's hot. And let me help you get to the next level in your business. Jack, thank you for coming on. Everyone have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon.